In this video, we're gonna get into the differences between Playa del Carmen, where I recently moved from, compared to Mexico City, where I'm currently living. And you'll get a better idea of why I moved here, but this video will also be very informative for anyone who's thinking about moving abroad, specifically to Mexico, but you're kinda unsure of which city to go to first. Hey y'all, I'm Shawnie, and if you are new here, bienvenido, welcome to my channel. And before you do anything, before you get too comfortable in that chair or wherever you are watching this, hit subscribe. It costs free $99 to support my channel, okay? And it adds $0 to your monthly expenses. So why not do that, okay? Now, if you're already part of the family, what's up? Welcome back, and I really appreciate your continued support. Before we get into this video, if you see me look to my left, you're right, I'm looking at my notes. And I did a lot of research so that when you're done watching this video, you feel like you have a lot of great info that you can use to make an informed decision. Both of these cities are a huge digital nomad hub. So if you work remote or you're a digital nomad in any kind of form, both cities are great for that aspect. When comparing Playa del Carmen to Mexico City, I broke it down into 6 different categories. The categories are going to be culture, weather, transportation, access to supplies, things to do, and cost of living. The first topic, culture. Now, Playa del Carmen is a small beach town in the state of Quintana Roo, which is the Caribbean side of Mexico, and it has a population of roughly around 300,000 people. Mexico City is in the middle of the country and is surrounded by mountains, and it has a population of 22 million people. So it is a massive cosmopolitan city. I always compare Mexico City to both New York and LA. It's like LA because it has the palm trees, it's surrounded by mountains, but it's like New York because you'll see the skyscrapers, and it is a very busy, bustling city. Now, when you think about the culture of these two cities, Playa del Carmen heavily caters to tourists, especially American tourists. Now, that might be due to the close proximity of Mexico to the United States, but either way, they love the US dollar, okay? I like to say that Playa del Carmen is an excellent place to start your expat nomad journey because it's not too much of a culture shock. Due to the bulk of the money being made in that area of Quintana Roo, Cancun, Playa, Tulum, coming from tourist dollars, they cater to tourist culture. So the downside is I don't feel like you get to experience Mexican culture fully because it's such a tourist populated area. And you can get by without knowing Spanish due to many Mexicans knowing English. I don't recommend it. I'm not telling you to go there and not learn Spanish. I'm just saying it is very possible to get by without knowing it. Now, Playa del Carmen is gonna be a slower pace of living. Think Caribbean, think beach vibes. When you think of beach vibes, people are taking it easy, kick back. No one's in a rush to do anything, okay? We're unwinding forever. Now, Mexico City, on the other hand, you need to know some Espanol, okay? They are not catering to tourists the way that Playa del Carmen, Cancun, Tulum does. So it will suit you to brush up on basic Spanish levels before you get here. And my Spanish isn't that great. I'm still learning, and I am trying to rush it at this point because it just feels a little isolating not knowing Spanish at a conversational level. But Mexico City, due to it being a humongous city, it is a faster pace of life, okay? You're going to experience true, authentic Mexican culture in its fullest, and it's beautiful, and I enjoy it so much. But I'm not saying that's better than Playa del Carmen because it's 2 different vibes. Moving on to category 2, weather. Playa del Carmen is beach weather. The sun is shining, the water is a beautiful hue of blue, and it's humid as hell, okay? You're gonna be outside for 5 minutes before you begin sweating your life away. So stay hydrated, okay? But It's also great weather year-round because around September to like March, it's not so hot, so you enjoy being outside more, okay? And it's also partly jungle. The jungle is right there, okay? So you got the monkeys, you got the lizards, the snakes, the mosquitoes, everything that, tarantulas. Let's not leave out tarantulas and scorpions. It's a jungle, okay? So you got the best of both of those worlds, all right? Now, Mexico City, you're surrounded by the mountains. Fun fact, there's also a volcano, like 2-3 hours outside the city. I don't know if it's active. I just thought I should mention it, okay? But Mexico City has moderate temperatures year-round. The average temperature is 65 degrees. Mexico City, you're gonna experience all of the seasons. So if you're someone that really likes to feel the shift of the seasons, this is a great place to be. Mexico City is also at a higher altitude, so you may have problems breathing if you're someone who already has asthma, or if you're someone who's sensitive to air pollution, Mexico City might not be your girl. Because this is a city of 22 million people, the air pollution is comparable to Los Angeles, okay? Yeah, there's air pollution here. So you really have to weigh these things when you think about which city suits you best. Y'all, I forgot a key detail when it comes to weather. I know this video is kind of random in the middle of the video, but I had to include this in. Both locations, Playa del Carmen and Mexico City, deal with natural disasters. In Playa del Carmen, you have to worry about hurricanes. When I lived there, I did experience one hurricane, Hurricane Grace. It wasn't terrible, but it was definitely scary. And in Mexico City, you have to worry about earthquakes. I've only been here 2 weeks and I've already experienced my first earthquake. So which one do you want to do? You want to fly or you want to shake? You gotta make your mind up because this is definitely a key aspect to consider when moving to either of these locations. Category 3, transportation. Mexico City and Playa del Carmen are both near the 2 busiest airports in the country. The #1 busiest airport is the Mexico City International Airport, and the #2 busiest airport is the Cancun International Airport, which is what you fly into to get to Playa del Carmen. So you should have no problem catching a flight to either of these destinations. Both cities have the ADO bus, which I love. I frequently use the ADO bus when I lived in Playa del Carmen to get to and from the airport because a taxi gonna run you about $50 to $70 US, and I ain't paying that. But the ADO bus is only $12. Thank you, God. Now you can also use the ADO bus to explore Mexico. It truly is the most cost-effective and affordable way to travel within Mexico on a budget, okay? The one thing I love about Playa del Carmen is that it's a bikeable city. You can get anywhere, and I mean everywhere, by bicycle. They also have local taxis, but honestly, I do not recommend it if you don't speak Spanish because they're going to quote you a price that is literally 3 to 6 times the normal rate. And I don't have time to argue with people, so I never, and I mean never, took the taxi. Now, Mexico City, on the other hand, has Uber, which I'm so grateful for because you don't have to argue about no rates. I feel safer in Ubers because they are GPS tracked. And they're affordable. I've gotten Ubers for like 20 pesos, which is like $1 US. And typically when it surges, it's between 150 pesos to 200 pesos, which is no more than like $10. So it's quite affordable, and I really appreciate the transparency of Uber. Mexico City also has local taxis. They also have this app called InDrive where you can negotiate with the driver how much you want to pay, but you have to pay in cash. And they have, like, you can get on InDrive and find a moving truck. Like, it's just really versatile, and that's what I love about that app. Now, when we think about buses, Playa del Carmen has the Colectivo, which I use frequently to get from Playa to Tulum for 50 pesos. That's an hour drive for 50 pesos. Super affordable. And they also have local buses. Mexico City has a metro train system. Any major city around the world has a metro train system, okay? So it's really nice because it goes everywhere and it's super affordable. They also have local buses that are only 6 pesos and they're super clean. They're pink in the front. The seats are pink for women and then the seats in the back are for everybody else. But I love that they distinguish that, like that the women only sit in the pink seats. So that's really nice to have a train system, bus system. They also have double-decker buses that will take you all over to see all the tourist sites. So I appreciate that. Now, the traffic in Mexico City ain't nothing to play with. You are in a major city in the world. It's the biggest city on the Western Hemisphere. And it is insane how bad the traffic gets. Think LA. Think any major city in the United States that has disgusting traffic. It is disgusting, downright disrespectful how bad the traffic is in Mexico City. But that's why I get on the train and the bus. It's cheap and it's clean, period. Category 4, access to supplies. Now, in general, a lot of items in Mexico are expensive, y'all. If it is imported into Mexico, it is expensive. If it's not made in Mexico, it's expensive, okay? There are certain things I buy all the time in the States that I bought here that have been like literally $5 more. For example, frozen raspberries, I can find a bag of that in the United States for $3, $4. In Mexico, I pay $10 a bag. Pop-Tarts, in the States it's $2.50, $3. Here it's $5. You know, like certain things are just more expensive. If you're black, you ain't finding no black hair care products. Go on here, bring that over with you. And bring it in bulk because you ain't gonna find it ever. Being from the South, I would love to buy some grits, but grits don't exist in Mexico. That ain't their culture to eat grits, you know? It just is what it is. Now, when it comes to supplies, luckily, Mexico does have Amazon. Now, it is not as abundant as Amazon America, or USA, but they do have it. In Playa del Carmen, things take about a week to come on Amazon, but in Mexico City, they do have Amazon Prime and things come in one day. And I have been abusing it, okay? My credit card says, swipe me one more time. In Playa del Carmen, you do have a Walmart and they have local grocery stores that are quite big, like Soriana and Chedraui. And on the weekends, there's like a local market in the streets where local people sell things. Now, in Mexico City, you got Walmart, but you also have all kinds of department stores. And because it's a major city, the access to things are easier. It's here, okay? It's here. And they also, which I love in my neighborhood, there's always a street market, y'all. I love it. Like on Fridays, there's one where it's just fresh fruits, veggies, like all kinds of things. And then on Tuesdays, there's one where it's like local people selling clothes and shoes and things like that. Like it's a market all the time. Like I just love it. So the access to supplies is gonna be more expensive. Now, if you live in Mexico City, it's easier to get. If you live in Playa del Carmen, you can get some things. It's just gonna take a little bit more time. Category 5, things to do. In Playa del Carmen, you're at the beach. So most of your activities are gonna be outdoor activities. You can go to cenotes, you can paddleboard, you can free dive with whale sharks, you can snorkel and see the beautiful fish at the reef, you can kayak, you can parasail, you can jet ski, you can go sailing on a yacht. Okay, you can lay out on the beach, you know. You also are near all of the amusement parks. So you can go to Xcaret, you can go to, there's so many, I don't know, like 4 or 5 different theme parks and like nature preserves, like monkey rescues. There are a lot of things you can do that are outdoor based, but because this is also a digital nomad hub, there are a lot of expat meetups. There are a lot of salsa and bachata classes. Cryptocurrency is huge, so you can go to cryptocurrency classes. You can go to a language meetup. But when you look at Mexico City, there are lots, and I mean lots of things to do, but they're just different. So I think that Mexico City caters to the arts better. So if you're someone that loves museums, cigar lounges, jazz clubs, festivals, meetups with expats, they do a lot of expat meetups here as well because it is a digital nomad hub. You can go to Xochimilco. You can go walking in downtown Coyoacán. I mean, there's so much to see. Lots of tourist attractions here as well, from amusement parks to Zocalo to the Frida Kahlo Museum. Yeah, it's endless. But I feel like Mexico City just caters more to the arts, the painting, the music, the dancing, all of the arts. You're gonna get your life in Mexico City, okay? This is a cosmopolitan city. But if you're an outdoor nature-y person, Playa del Carmen is gonna scratch that itch of yours, okay? Also, when it comes to club, Playa del Carmen has a huge club culture because it is a tourist destination, and when you're on vacation, what do you wanna do? You wanna get fucked up, you wanna party. So there is a huge club culture there. One thing I love about Playa del Carmen is that there are clubs that are dedicated to hip hop. Like, I'm a hip hop girl, and what I've learned is that a lot of the world, like most of the world, love that music, and I can't get down with it. I love hip hop, I love R&B, I like pop, you know, like I can't get down with that kind of music. But there's those kind of clubs that are suit your fancy as well. Also, there are clubs that's, you know, play mostly Spanish music that caters to the Latin American culture. Now, Mexico City, I feel like this is more of a Latin American culture club place and a unchica club place. Now, I don't know of any specific clubs that cater solely to hip hop R&B. I just know that there are parties here and there that are thrown at various venues that have those kind of nights, like a theme night. Like there might be a hip hop night or early 2000s night, but there's no club that is specifically dedicated to playing hip hop and R&B, which breaks my heart, which is why I don't club in Mexico City, because I ain't about to unchica all freaking night. Category 6, cost of living. I do have a video on my cost of living when I was living in Playa del Carmen, so if you haven't seen it, go watch it. But in Playa del Carmen, I moved there during the pandemic, and my monthly budget was $3,000 US. My rent was $900, and the rest of that money was spent on food, going out, and just enjoying life, because I ain't have a job. Now, Mexico City, on the other hand, I do feel like it's more expensive than Playa del Carmen. Although people have told me you can live here for quite cheap too. But if you're like me and you like modern places with amenities or just somewhere nice to live that you feel safe, and I'm not talking about a high rise on the 15th floor. I'm just talking about when I walk in my apartment, I feel like, yes, I like this. Then it ain't cheap. It's just not cheap, okay? When I was looking, I was seeing things for like $1,400 US, and I was not paying that. Luckily, I did find something for well below that. What I'm paying now is not too much more than what I was paying in Playa del Carmen. But due to expats, digital nomads, remote workers, whatever you want to call it, coming in with their euros, British pounds, and US dollars, and paying rates that are not true to what is typical of the area, rent has increased. A lot of things have increased here in Mexico City, and a lot of locals are not happy about it. I ain't even gonna speak on that, but that's the reality of the situation. So I do feel like it takes a little bit more money to live in Mexico City, although I do feel it's easier to live in Mexico City due to it being a major city. Oh my God, y'all, I need to add on one more category, food. I know the foodies are probably like, girl, but what's the food like? Tell me more about that. Don't worry, I got you. So when I lived in Playa del Carmen, I'm gonna be 100, y'all. I was not impressed with food. I had more instances of going out to eat and being completely disgusted or dissatisfied with my food than I did actually enjoying food. It's just not hitting for nothing. And I'm talking about fancy restaurants, regular restaurants, like more times than not, my food was not good. And that's just it. The best food in Playa del Carmen, in my personal opinion, is street food. Just, you know, locals wheeling their cart to the corner and serving food. That slaps. Them restaurants, nah. And they charging tourist prices, nah. Now, Mexico City, on the other hand, is world-class cuisine. Some of the best restaurants in the world are here in Mexico City. And you have a better variety of food in Mexico City. You really don't have that in Playa del Carmen. It's either American food or Hispanic food. Now, in Mexico City, you have food from all over the world, which is just chef's kiss, okay? Chef's kiss. Every single restaurant I've went out to eat at since I've been here, which has been 2 months now, or almost 2 months, has not let me down. So if you're a foodie, this is the place to be. In addition to bomb street food. Like, and the one thing I love about Mexico City is like where I live in La Condesa, there are coffee shops, like local bars and food places all over the place. And there are a lot of rooftop bars with beautiful views of the mountains and things like that. So if you're a foodie, I definitely recommend Mexico City over Playa del Carmen. All right, y'all, so that is my comparison of Playa del Carmen to Mexico City. Hopefully this video gave you a deeper, detailed insight to each city to figure out which city would work best for you. Now, I'm grateful I began my journey in Playa del Carmen. I do not regret it at all, but I do feel like Mexico City suits me better. And one of the main reasons is parks. I forgot to mention that, but Mexico City has so many beautiful parks. I really enjoy having those beautiful green spaces that I can walk through, that I can have a picnic at, that I can take my dog to, because there are also a lot of dog parks here that is really great. Playa del Carmen has no parks. That is non-existent. The beach is your park, which, I mean, I understand. It just depends on what you like best. But having green spaces, having those parks forces me to get outside my house, take a stroll around my neighborhood, get to learn it better, and for that, I am just so appreciative. Now, if you made it to the end of this video, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts. If you have questions, drop them in the comments, I'll answer them. And until the next video, peace.